jury has reached the following conclusion and decision. Zinta has presented an original doctoral thesis of high quality, which has contributed to the understanding of plant responses to climate extremes from the gene to the plant, and the jury especially appreciated the combination of different techniques and methods that were needed to achieve such an integrated approach. The jury also finds that Kauraf has presented his research in a clear and we hope for the wider audience understandable way, of course, as far as the difficulty of the subject allows it, maybe a little bit fast, but in a very enthusiastic way, which is important for science communication. And in addition, he has also proven his ability to engage in scientific debate with experts from the discipline. So for these reasons, and because he has successfully completed the doctoral school program, Zinta receives the diploma of Doctor in Science of the University of Antwerp.
Yes. Thanks to all of you for coming here for my PhD defense seminar. I would like to say thanks to my promoters, Professor Ivan and Professor Han, for their real support, real dedication towards me to push me to work hard, get this PhD work done. And I really appreciate both of you for your scientific values which you inculcated in me. And I appreciate Professor Bernardus Samson for coming here to evaluate my thesis. And Garrett, I really like you. And thanks for thanks for venturing me into the area of genomics, which I really wanted to do. I mean, I'm glad I'm at the end of my PhD. So now I will give chocolates. And thanks all of you from Placo and yes, I know you are nice. Thank you very much. I'm confused actually at the moment.
He's finally done. He feels relieved. He's ready to run away. No longer being on this stage, it was hard, Kauraf, wasn't it? And the speed of his presentation proved that it was really nerve-wracking. Kauraf, there you are. You started several years ago, you were a candidate, you were among many, it was difficult to select, and like with Hamada, when I look back, what was it that made him stick out and be selected? And I think the most important trait that struck us in selecting was your enthusiasm and your dedication to science. I mean, if there's anything that was clear is that he wanted to be a scientist, and he wanted to be a plant scientist, and he wanted to be a scientist, so better give him the job. And he got the job. Now we're at the end of this journey, of this adventure, like it was called, and we should look back and see what has happened in those years. I mean, we know the final result, but how did we get there? It's an adventure, a long journey, and like I said before on the defense of Hamada's thesis, this journey had some landmarks. And for those of you who were there in Hamada's presentation, those landmarks were interesting and exciting. Now let's look at the landmarks of Kauraf's thesis. Poor guy. The first landmark was when he had just started his experiments. He was this beginning, young, frail Indian student coming to Belgium, and what we did first was send him to Tervuren, all alone, without a car, public transport, to set up a big growth chamber experiment, very complicated with big machines, expensive experiment, and there we sent Gaurav to near Brussels to go there every day and to deal with his plants. And he was very dedicated and he worked very hard, and yet the experiment failed. Why did it fail? Because one of the light switches didn't work, and one of the chambers of these 4 was in light day and night. How did we find out? Because of Gaurav's dedication. He slept there. So he finally discovered that the light stayed on. So his first landmark was not a very fantastic one. But then, after recovering from that and starting the experiment again and being full motivated and running and going in the lab, his long-standing relationship in home country broke off. Wow, Gaurav in depth. It was not his experiment, but it was not positive. And then, if that was not enough, Gaurav one day went to a doctor with a little cough. He never left. He was directly put in quarantine in a hospital for weeks and weeks. Imagine, there you are, your experiment is running, and the doctor says you go in the hospital, you're isolated. It's not what you want as a PhD student. And if that wasn't enough, a few months after, Gaurav's father died. Now, I mean, that is not the best of starts. And I know your father would have been very proud, rightfully so. So Gaurav did not start with many positive chances. He had to fight back on a large number of drawbacks. So how did he make it? I think primarily because of his enthusiasm and his strong willingness to get there and work very hard. Like Hamada, he worked very hard. And I think the second reason why he made it so successfully was, again, to have landed in the MPB in our group family. And in particular, you heard him say so at the acknowledgements, because of his good friend, Hamada. I mean, these two in the lab were basically always together. They did almost all of their experiments together, so much even that I was questioning why they were always on the same papers, because I wasn't sure that everybody contributed equally to these papers, but they were such good buddies that they were feeding each other's CV very well. And I think if there's one pillar in this work, I think Hamada deserves a little bit of credit, as you deserve credit for helping Hamada through his work. So, having said that, Gaurav, I think you did wonder well. The result is there, the papers are coming, it's a great work, you did fantastic, so congratulations, Dr. Zinta.
Thank you very much. Now you are invited for the reception which my Indian friends have prepared. So some chili stuff.